South African Labour Department is assessing working hours for employees in South Africa. According to data released by the website ourwordindata.org, workers in the country have been working longer hours than they should. Currently, most workers are on a 5-day work shift of about 9 hours a day. This amounts to about 45 hours a week. We're now joined by Thembinkosi, Mkalipi, the Chief Director of Labour Relations at the Department of Labour. Thank you very much, sir, for your time this afternoon. So according to research by Oxford University, South African workers have some of the longest working hours in the world. What does our research suggest, and are we on par with our international counterparts and counterparts on the continent?
Well, I mean, if we're talking about our counterparts, I mean, in the continent, we're confident that we are on par with our counterparts in the continent, even in and the Americas who are on par. We might be not on par with our counterparts in maybe North America, in Europe. We might not be on par. But I mean, the situation is not as bad as the article indicates, because if you look on companies where there's collective bargaining, the average hours of work in many of our industries is around about 43 hours. In the public sector, we're talking about 40 hours, that is 8 hours a week. In many sectors where there's collective bargaining and there's bargaining council arrangements, the hours are far less than the 45 hours. But the paper is correct that there is a proposal that is put at NETLEC for us to look at the hours of work. And as the paper indicates and the article indicates that sometime, I think about 7 years ago, the commission did research on the issue of hours of work. But the issue that we need to take into consideration on the issues of hours of work, our minimum wage is based on an hourly rate. Now, if you reduce hours of work, it's got an implication on the number of hours that workers would work. Now, if you work lesser hours and the minimum wage is based on an hourly rate, then it means that you're going to take less home. And those are the issues that we need all to bear in mind when we talk about working hours. And all of those discussions will be taking place as part of the proposal that have been given by Labour at NETLEC to look at the reduction of working hours.
Sure. So that's just one of the issues that the department will be looking into in terms of the feasibility of reducing the working hours. Which industries will you be looking into in terms of the working hours? Are there industries that bear more working hours as compared to others in the country?
Well, there's no doubt, as I've already indicated, that in industries where there's collective bargaining, an industry where that falls under bargaining council, they've got lesser working hours as a result of the strength of trade union movement in those sectors. Industries that are not organized by trade unions are more likely to work 45 hours a week. If you look at the domestic sector, the farming community, and many other retail sectors that do not have trade union representation, work the hours that are stipulated in the law, which is 45 hours. Therefore, when we discuss and have discussion on the hours of work, we not concentrate on any industries. We're looking at the base hours of work that affect all workers, and depending on what we agree on, and then that's how it will be applied if there's any agreement to reduce. There's no guarantee that will reduce hours, as I've indicated that the hours of work have got implication on the hourly rate that workers are earning and on the take-home pay of workers.
On the implication of the hourly rate, there are some suggestions from some sectors of society that perhaps that we need to take a look at that minimum wage in terms of the hourly rate that people earn in South Africa, citing inflation, etc., that already it is unaffordable or it's not feasible in terms of the amount that people take home, on top of that being taxed. Is this going to be part of the investigations that the department will be looking into, or is that the minimum wage and that's it?
Well, the minimum wage is not part of the discussion. Remember that the minimum wage is reviewed by the National Minimum Wage Commission. It's not up for negotiations at NETLEC and discussion at NETLEC. The issue of the minimum hours of work have got nothing to do with the minimum wage. What I'm saying is that if you reduce hours, then we must accept then that workers will take less home in terms of hourly rate. If you work now 45 hours and you get paid R1 an hour, you take 45 rands home. If but then the hours are reduced to 40, you take 40 hours, 40 rand home. That's the implication of the reduction of hours of work. We need to understand that the increase to the minimum wage is dealt separately. And remember, when you talk about income, you've got to also consider that there are small businesses within the economy. Now, it doesn't make sense to increase the minimum wage and make it higher, and then more people lose their jobs. When you are not employed, you are more vulnerable than a person who's employed, who's earning the minimum wage. Therefore, the issue about whether the minimum wage is at the right level or not at the right level is a discussion that the Minimum Wage Commission is tasked with. It's their responsibility. But I'm just saying that when they make that decision, they need to consider both sides of the aisle, that is the earnings of workers and the ability of business to create employment. Thank you.
Thembinkosi Mkalipi is the Chief Director at the Labor Relations at the Department of Labour. Thank you very much for your time. And if you'd like more detail, you can check it out on businesstech.co.za.